It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Inside the Patch, 1430 ESPN, your Valley local sports leader. Brought to you by Fresno Rack and Shelving. Nice rack. And plus, if you want to donate to Valley Children's Hospital, it's easy. You text the word Gnarley, which is my name, Gnarley, to 51555. If you have no idea what that means, ask your grandkids. They know how to do that. I've got Brian Doe here. And Brian, wow. Now, before I tell you I bought Super Bowl tickets, I didn't. I don't think that's what's happening. But ding dong, the witch is dead, and there is a different something in the air for the Raiders. You know,
1-0 with Antonio Pierce. Mm-hmm. That's as good as you could start.
Yeah. Yep.
I think you, me, and 9 of your closest friends might be able to score on the Giants right now. Or
I agree.
You, me, and 9 of your closest friends could prevent the Giants from scoring. I do feel confident about that.
Right. I agree with that. But nonetheless, Brian, since the beginning of this show this year, I told you every week, I hate my coach. I hate that I feel like I didn't know Christmas was coming early. I didn't know. And for once, I don't even care if we win. We should beat the Jets, but maybe I don't care. I feel better about it. You know, I have no expectation of. I know some people are like, we're going to Super Bowl now. You know,
oh no,
hold on. No, we're not. but it is a different thing. Something's changed, and I'm happy about it.
Now, did you have a victory cigar?
I did not. I actually missed the game. I picked to go to my mom's A Christmas Carol, play, and I would have never done. But it was one of those things where it was a last minute deal, and my mom, I normally go, hey, I can't. That's a Raider game, but so I didn't even see the game, and I was like, I was scared, and then at the intermission, I told my sister, what's the score? 21-0 Raiders. I go, all right. I got Devontae in both my leagues. How many points? None. 2. Like, nothing. I go, what?
I thought you were going to say up 21-0. All right. We got a shot.
We got a chance. Oh, I'm still thinking we're going to lose, you know? And there's 2 things I want to say. And this is where I'm bad at judging coaches, I think. Like when Josh McDaniels, and that's probably the last time we say his name, when he came on board, the very first thing he did, he said, the tuck rule, it was a fumble. And I was like, all right, this guy's cool. I like him. Look at him making fun of the Patriots and saying that, you know. And that was the last moment I liked him or trusted him. And
that was
and everything
the initial press conference, and that was as far as the trust went with you?
Yes. And then when I realized, well, now I know things, but I didn't know then. I'm like, we got, Derek, we got Devontae, we got not Morgan Wallen, we got Darren Waller. We could have Morgan Renfro. I go, oh, we are going to be great. And then when I saw Derek's face, this is last year, something wasn't right. Something's not right, and the coach isn't right, and something's afoot here. And then, and now this year, Derek's gone. I'm depressed. I don't believe this guy, blah, blah, blah. And things aren't adding up. And then Mark Davis, I think he's going to keep him for a while. I think we got to stay with the system. And then at some point, I realized, oh, he's gone. This really did happen. And it changed everything. And here's the way I describe it. Remember when Stella got her groove back? Well, that's what happened to the Raiders.
Wow.
She was with.
Here's the thing. I don't know the movie very well. Sorry, I'm one of those guys.
I don't either. Actually, I just like the terminology.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I was gonna have you school me on this because I haven't seen it. So when she got her groove back, it's important to note who she got her groove back with, right? Like what
I
would
don't even.
be
I
what
don't.
would be the equivalent of the Giants as like an eligible bachelor? You know?
Well, no. Here's what I think, and I don't even know. Like Stella was in a loveless relationship or marriage. She went to the Bahamas, and she washed that man right out of her hair, and she felt like she was viable again, and felt like, oh, I am not a complete idiot. Or she went to the club and someone liked her, and she goes, oh, I'm back in the game.
That's what I mean.
So it's
like the person who liked her. I'm guessing he was a good-looking dude, right? Not the equivalent of the Giants. That's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Did the Raiders really get their groove back by beating the Giants? Because Stella, if she saw the equivalent of the Giants as a man in the club, she would turn and look the other way. Right?
Okay, I see what I'm saying? I'm taking it as it's a confidence thing. Like these guys were beat down, and everything that I'm hearing, and not all is true, but I realize that the guy that used to coach the Raiders doesn't know how to relate to people.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to use the Bill Belichick, do you know who I think I am, which doesn't really work nowadays. And every professional football player was the best guy on their team since elementary. And they went to college, and there's a few cases where they weren't, but most of their life they've been the best guy. And they're not used to someone tearing them down, you know?
Yeah.
Making it to where, and so.
Well, there's no doubt that the victory cigars, in my mind, are not just, hey, we won a regular season game. Like, hey, we beat the Giants. What other team this year is going to light up victory cigars after beating the Giants? You think the Cowboys are going to do it this weekend after beating Tommy DeVito? No one's doing it. That was
not at all.
Clearly, we've washed the bad juju, Josh McDaniels, out of our hair. That's the only way I can take that.
Well, and you know what's funny is they still say the right things. Like Max knows to say, yeah, Josh is a great guy. They say that he was great, this and that, blah blah blah. But the truth is, their actions are completely different, you know. And I don't care who you are. I've worked for program directors that for whatever reason they didn't like me and they wanted to control me. And once you get that vibe that they're not even on board with you and you're just a pawn, it's hard to be okay with it. And then you get your groove back. I don't know. Like I have no expectations. I have no expectations of the Raiders running the table, you know, but Mark Davis picked losing money and the fans over the other guy.
By the way, what mainstream movie have you yet to see where most of your friends would be like, really? You've never seen that one before?
Ooh, there's a couple. I think Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen Rocky 1. I don't really remember it. I saw a thing about it. And I was like, I don't actually remember all that stuff.
I would imagine
but sometimes
that one.
If you go too far, though, then you're like, oh, yeah, I can't admit to it now.
When you rewatch a movie and it's like you're watching it for the first time. I think that's even worse than not seeing it at all. It's like, how can I not remember at least bits and pieces of this movie? That's happened before.
Well, being a morning radio host, I get up at 3:30, right? So I would come home and put on Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, and then I didn't realize I would drool and sleep through a couple episodes until I rewatch it, and I go, I don't remember any of this. I never saw that. I didn't even know. It's like, oh, well, you see the boy go, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember nothing. So I don't know. But I got to tell you, man, I feel better inside. You know, I'm a positive Raider apologist, you know, and the Jets, we probably should beat them, but it's going to be a tight game. I don't guarantee anything.
That's going to be
anything.
I think that's going to be rough. But listen, the Jets aren't world beaters. I think their defense is really, really good. But Zach Wilson is not the second coming of Joe Montana or something like that. So this could be a rock fight, a very low-scoring game. But I don't know how Stella got her groove back. I don't know where that ranks. Like, I haven't seen Back to the Future. That's a big one.
You've never seen Back to the Future?
Never seen that one. I haven't seen Hoosiers. I am a Hoosier. I'm from Indiana. I've never
I
seen
can't believe. Okay, what about Rudy? You had to see
I've
Rudy.
seen Rudy, yes. Yeah, I've seen that one. Fun fact.
Okay.
I think it was 92, Notre Dame beat Penn State at home. And it was this famous come-from-behind win. But they were supposed to shoot. I was at the game. They were supposed to shoot a scene for Rudy. But because it was snowing like crazy, they couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it?
Yeah.
So my father-in-law was the Fresno Bee sports writer for 50 years. He passed away. Bruce Ferris. He's in the Fresno Hall of Fame and stuff. Well, when he started getting dementia later on in life, he had everybody's phone number because he covered golf and in those days he covered everything. And he had the real Rudy's phone number in his phone. When Nick Watney won $2 million, we didn't know till Nick Watney's people called us and said, hey, Bruce called Nick and tried to sell him his house for $2 million because he just saw him win $2 million. The house wasn't worth $2 million, but he had access to these numbers. And we're like, oh. And, but I remember the real Rudy was in his phone, not the actor. But he knew everybody, I don't know why I brought that up.
That's pretty cool right there,
Well, and you know what? I mean, in those days, like you said, you covered everything. So like he would go to the Pebble Beach deal and Jack Nicklaus would be like, hey, thanks, man. How you doing, Bruce? And it was a cool thing. And I got to represent him after he passed at the Fresno Hall of Fame thing. I got his medal for him and stuff. And that was cool.
This is way off the beaten path, but I remember when I was working in Fresno, there was a golf event. I should remember the name of it. I can't off the top of my head. The main thing I remember is that I was supposed to interview Annika Sorenstam. And I think
it was the Save Mart Open.
It might have been.
And it was out.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, she was out there at that.
She was out there, and I went up to her and just had the microphone, was starting to ask her a question, and she just said, "We're golfing right now," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I had to, get some PR person to go over to be like, hey, we need you to talk to Brian right now. And then she was like, oh yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, now you want to talk to me, huh?
Right. And then you don't want to make them mad especially you already had a little thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
I get it. Right. Like, unless you're obligated to do an interview, I can fully understand how you wouldn't want to. I get that. But it is weird when you go up to someone like, hey, Annika, we're golfing right now. Like, just go jump in a river. I don't want to deal with you at this present moment.
Well, do you remember when Sugar Ray Leonard and Sylvester Stallone did a boxing show? It was like a reality show. In fact, I was working in Fresno at the time, and I had an interview with Sylvester Stallone. Well, I wanted to make a joke about Bridget Nelson saying half Nelson, like he takes half your money. That's where I wanted to go with it. And the minute I get him on the phone, Sly, I've never talked to him. I'm nervous, right? And I go, this is cool. It's a show about boxing. I go, what? You're familiar with the half Nelson? And he goes, no, this is boxing, man. He wouldn't even let me get my half. I go, no, I was going to say, she takes half your money, which he probably would have hated. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
But he got so mad I couldn't get back to I was like, man, it's like there's the full Nelson and then half Nelson. He takes half your money. But it never happened.
Man, just cut off a legendary joke in the making,
you could feel when they're done with you, or like it's like, ooh, bad idea.
I think it's funny when there's just a total misunderstanding where you don't mean anything.
Yeah.
I used to. Sorry, one more story here, and we'll talk about the silver and black. But I when the Lakers, they would come to Fresno for a preseason game.
That's
they
right.
would routinely
Shaq
do that.
And I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And so there was the flagship station in LA at the time. It was 570, like LA Sports or whatever.
Right.
And Frank Pollock, the guy who worked there at the time, he would call me up and say, "Hey, we need you to just grab some audio for the next broadcast." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I went to the Lakers locker room and I went up to Lamar Odom, and he had lost his starter spot, and he was the sixth man. He was coming off the bench. And I just went up to him and I was like, "Hey, Lamar, how did it feel in this new role to come off the bench? Did everything feel good for you out there?" Something like that. And I don't even remember what his answer was. All I remember is Lamar, I was looking up at him, and the way he was like looking at me and talking, it took me a second, and I gathered, I'm like, he's mad right now. I have no idea.
He has not accepted that role yet.
Yeah.
He has not accepted that role yet.
Yeah, but he finished the question. It was like, "Okay, thanks, Lamar." That was clearly the end of the interview, but I didn't mean anything by it. I was just honestly asking how he felt with his new role.
But sometimes, they think, well, now, especially, they think you're trying to do something or pull a fast one or.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I don't know how he took it, but I wasn't talking trash at all. It was just, I don't know, either a misunderstanding or he was just upset about not being a starter anymore. Might not have even been mad at me. He was just mad about the whole thing in general. I don't know.
Well, remember Meta World Peace?
Oh, yeah.
Right. I was asked to be in the celebrity basketball tournament, and he's the coach. And I am clearly not an athlete to these guys. Like most of these guys are ex-NFL or whatever, and they're there to play ball. And he looks at me and goes, "Hey, you a baller?" And I go, "Yeah, if I'm watching a sad Hallmark thing or something, I might cry a little bit." But he actually laughed. But I was just like, still put him in. I'm not the guy. But like he was on his phone the whole time. I think he got suckered into coming. But So okay, let's go back to getting our groove back.
Okay.
Here's my theme, Brian.
Yep.
I don't know how we're gonna do. I don't even want to predict. I do know though that I feel better. I feel better about the state of the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can get behind this, and I'm not. I hate it every week when I'm be like, I hate this coach, and everything that I thought is coming out that he was this. He thought he was Belichick, and he's not, and he doesn't know how to like. These guys are millionaires. To motivate a millionaire, you can't use force. You can't threaten benching. You need to find a way to motivate these guys, or they hate you.
You know what's crazy to me is the Belichick coaching tree. As great of a head coach as Belichick is, he's arguably the greatest. If you don't have him up there, he's on the short list. He's had a sensational resume. He's put together a great resume. But if you look at the guys that have gone on to become head coaches that once were on Belichick's staff, it's Josh McDaniels, it's Romeo Crennel, it's Matt Patricia. It's like, how does that happen where most of these dudes just fall flat on their face? It's crazy to me. It can be like that.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with you think you're ready and you're not. And Belichick has everybody so scared that you're not really learning. You're learning to fear Belichick. And if you don't have his credentials, you don't have that. You have to earn your place or find your place. You can't just walk in and say, I got 6 Super Bowls, Belichick told me to. I don't know. I would have never thought that Antonio Pierce, I didn't even really know who he was that well. Like I knew him for the Giants a little bit, but I didn't know. And after the game, he got on the mic and said, Raiders. I was like, wow.
Hey, man,
I never seen that.
He grew up rooting for,
Yeah.
It's all about the Raiders. And that was cool, man. And he beat his former team. That was the main thing was, I remember Antonio Pierce very well with the Giants, and he was a big part of their success in winning a Super Bowl.
From Compton.
Yeah.
From Compton. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've heard that he got in trouble after the meeting because he told the story about how we were playing the undefeated Patriots and we knew we could beat them. We told ourselves we could beat them, and we did. And afterwards, McDaniels called him out and said, don't ever make fun of the Patriots like that. I'm like, what? That's what you took out of that? That's what you took? We're trying to change the culture. And whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. How much does McDaniels get after getting canned?
A lot. We're on the hook for $80 million and for two coaches that aren't coaching.
How much for McDaniels? Is it like 30-ish?
I think
something like that.
I think 40-ish. 40. I say 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope I get fired one day and get paid $40-ish million just to go away.
But then once you have some accolades and stuff, you would think his legacy now is can't coach, lost the room, kind of a jerk.
By the way,
but he'll have a nice house.
Which is worse? Is it McDaniels? He was hired for like an hour or a day or whatever it was by the Colts.
Right.
Think about that. The Colts gave him the job. He then said, you know what? I've reconsidered. I don't want it.
I'm out.
And then he goes on eventually to become the head coach of the Raiders and goes 9-16. And that's on the heels of failing in Denver. So if you're the Colts, like, which is worse? Is it, I don't know, not offering him the job in the first place? Or is it offering that guy the job and he said no to you? That's... Whew.
Well, I think the Raider fans will never forget this. He's going to go down in history as one of the worst villains, ever for us. Shanahan, he was a Raider coach for a year, tried to come in and change things. And I don't know, man. I just know that he'll never coach. I don't think he can. I don't think he can ever coach again.
I mean, not as a head coach. He can be a coordinator and be on a staff, but I don't think he's going to get another crack as a head coach.
No, and that's the whole thing. It's like I'm really more upset the fact that he wrecked my car and Devontae thing. Now I see why Carr was upset. Now I see why Carr's wearing Fresno State during the year because he was just getting just told wrong. You're doing it wrong. And it affected Derek. Derek was a mess. And I've worked for bosses that made me feel that way. And the second you're out from under their thumb, you get your life back.
It does sound like you need to be on the couch to get these program directors out of your head. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It sounds like you need to, I don't know, say it to someone. Maybe this could be your therapy session. I don't know.
It kind of is, actually.
It really two where you're like, screw that guy,
Well, you kind of helped me with the fact that when I told you how much I didn't like the Raiders coach, you're like, you know what? Try to find a few things, And right now, I'm trying to not look at the past and move forward and go, you know what? This is something positive in my life, and I'm going to go this way. And I'm glad that the organization now at least seems to be pointed to the direction of the players. Like, you know what? You're not gonna win if you're a curmudgeon, and they're millionaires. They don't need the money. You can't fine them. They don't care.
Well, I want to see if Antonio has more success and has a legitimate shot to be the permanent head coach. That's the deal right now, is they're going to consider him. But listen, that's what the Colts were saying with Jeff Saturday. And he won his first game, and then it went straight downhill. So I want to see if Antonio has enough success where he's like a strong candidate to be the permanent guy.
We have the Chiefs for 2 games. If he can split that series, he's in the next year. We have the Chargers again, and we have the Buccaneers again. If we win those, he's back. I mean, there's going to be some pressure. He can't lose all 4 of those division games, and he better beat the Jets. But it comes down to, are the players, you could lose and still have a good game.
Well, that's the thing is, because the Raiders chose McDaniels over Bisaccia, right? Where Rich was the interim guy, and he had some real success. And so I wonder if the Raiders choosing McDaniels over the interim head coach, Bisaccia, I wonder if that could help Antonio Pierce. Because the main thing is he's got to have some success, got to have some wins. But I do wonder if he's got enough wins to make him a borderline candidate. I wonder if choosing McDaniels over Bisaccia could help Pierce.
I think the only reason we went the Patriot way is because I think Mark thought Brady would come up and play. That's what I think, and it just didn't happen. And now I think the tribe has spoken, and I don't think they'll let Bisaccia go again. It was really telling after the Green Bay game when Max Crosby's on an interview and Bisaccia taps him, and Max just says, "See you later, microphone," and goes and gives him a huge hug, and then comes back. He could have been like, "Hold on a second, bro." No, there was, and I went, "Wow." I wasn't for Bisaccia. I was like, yeah, maybe they're right. He's just the special team.
Oh, they loved him. They were all about that guy. Yeah.
It would have changed everything. And it really, when you're the head coach, you're a lot of things, and you're not probably coaching as much as you want to be because you're doing other things, but you have to be a leader of men. You have to be what you say, they can see right through. They know when you're talking out your rear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see, Jets are on deck. It starts there.
Jets are on deck. Then we got Miami. Then we have the Chiefs. All teams that have had great games and bad games. And we can't even look ahead. I know this. Jets are one of the teams you can't eat as far as mascots. So we know that.
That's right. It's funny, too, with Robert Saleh. He had a great quote where they've played some really good quarterbacks. And he's like, "We've embarrassed them all." And he walked it back a little bit. But it was...
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, it was... Mahomes was in that group. I can't name the other 2 off the top of my head. Josh Allen was in that group. And then obviously this last Monday, Justin Herbert, he did nothing against the Jets defense. So it'd be funny if Aiden O'Connell lit him up when Mahomes didn't, Josh Allen didn't. That would be great.
Isn't it crazy how you say one thing and then it lives forever in a negative way? Okay, Aiden O'Connell, he looks 11, and he has the anti-Hitler mustache. He has a 2-inch gap of no hair. It's like he could help Hitler out and give him a side. It's like a 2-inch gap in the middle of his mustache.
It's an odd look. It's definitely an odd look. I want to see this, Gnarly. I was looking this up. So the degenerate gambler in me has noticed that opposing quarterbacks have rushed for a decent amount of yardage against the Jets. It's happened numerous times this year. Justin Herbert, he didn't rush for a lot, but 17 rushing yards, that hit the over if you're looking at the prop bet market. Russell Wilson hit the over. Patrick Mahomes had a 3rd and 20 conversion. He ran for a bunch of yards against the Jets. Aiden O'Connell, he's had 2 starts. He's had 3 rushes for 3 yards. They're probably all quarterback sneaks. I couldn't tell you, but that's my guess. So I'm curious how many rushing yards he has against the Jets this coming weekend here.
It's funny. I watched his press conference, and he didn't say anything. He said he said everything that you're supposed to say. Did not deviate. Didn't say, now that it's your team. And he goes, well, it's not my team. He did everything right. He was coached, but you don't hear anything that, I'm excited.
I'm excited. And I'm going to have double-digit rushing yards.
Extra cocky, side order cocky, and, Well, so this week we got the Jets. I think it's going to be a low-scoring baseball game, and we're going to have a suicide squeeze to win. And
you might either go suicide or you go safety squeeze. But I'm with you. I think some type of squeeze play that has to be executed.
I think so. And then we played the beloved Dolphins, but I can't even get ahead. I'm going to kind of just, my season now is it okay to be a Raider fan again? Is it like, I feel like it's time. I don't expect to win the Super Bowl, but I do feel like we got 8 games. We might wild card our way in there. Who knows? To the playoffs.
See, like, why do you have to end on just the craziest of crazy notes, Gnarly? You were doing well. You texted me that you're taking your pills as directed by physicians, and you closed.
I am.
What are you talking about?
Let's just talk about the Jets and see how it goes from there. My favorite thing is if you go to New York, they have a Statue of Liberty, and it's got a Josh Jacobs jersey on. But how much does I think that jersey cost to put over the Statue of Liberty? Lots. A lot of cloth. He switched numbers this year. So they got to put a 2 in there somewhere or take the 2 off.
Take the 2 off, yeah.
It'll be like all lopsided. But come on, Statue of Liberty is like, they're probably, the guy who ordered that, it was $100,000 or whatever for this giant jersey. He goes, is he really switching jerseys? Oh my gosh, no. So
I think at that point, you just pretend he's still number 28.
Just act like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just look away.
It's a throw.
Brian, no. Love you for being on, and I'm going to keep my Raider positivity going. And sorry, Jets, it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, Gnarly. And
give me a score, a total score. What do you think? 4?
Jets 5, Raiders 4. I'll say. All right. Why do you want to put me in a position for your listeners to hate me over here with my prediction?
No, I don't want that. I think let's just go with this. We win on a safety from Max Crosby. That's how we win the game. That's just going to do it.
Maybe you win by hitting Zach Wilson, not sacking him, but hitting him. He twirls around. He thinks he's throwing it forward. He throws it backwards into his own end zone. Raiders recover it. Maybe something fluky like that,
See, you're back. See, now you're one of us. You got your groove back. Thank you. That's very nice.
Like Stella.
Brian, no, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have cigars ready to go. All right?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. And if we have to delay those cigars until week 15, I'll still be ready.
Dude, we might even vape. I don't know. We're crazy. We'll see what happens.
Let's do it.
We'll see you next time on Inside the Patch.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.